Welcome back to this week's episode of Success in Women. I'm Linda.
I'm Andrea.
And today we're going to be talking about not taking on more than you can handle. But we'll explain what that's all about after Andrea's weekly tip.
Hi, ladies. So I saw something really great on Facebook this week, and it's with your garbage bags. So they all come in those big boxes, and they're bulky and hard to put underneath your sink or in your garage, take up shelf. So what they did was they took the paper towel freestanding rolls.
Yes.
And they took it out of the box, put it on the stand, and peeled them off like paper towels.
Wow.
And you just put it underneath your sink. Doesn't take up so much room, and they're just easy to take
Peel
and
off.
zip. Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that a good tip?
That is an extra.
Yeah.
I had an extra roll stick, but actually my nephew just moved, so I gave it to him. But it would have been really good.
Yeah.
Really good. Wow, I love
Saves
that
a lot
tip.
of space.
Yeah. So this week we're going to be talking about not taking on more than you can handle. And when we talk about that, there's a lot of things that kind of go attached to all of this. And one of the things that when Andrew and I were talking earlier, I was just mentioning, even my sister was going through something recently, and one of her friends can be extremely toxic. And she goes, yeah, but you know what? I'm going to be getting some business, through her parents and stuff. And so it's okay. And I'm like, no, it's actually not. Sometimes you think that having a client, just because you're getting to make a commission or, service fees or whatever it is that you have, but you've got to deal with that toxic person. That's not always a good thing. Most of the time you should be getting rid of your toxic clients so that you're, I'll say, free.
Mentally,
yes,
and time-wise.
Yeah, and time-wise for sure, because sometimes these people can monopolize your time where you can't service other people.
Exactly.
And then every time the phone rings, it's kind of like, oh God,
I know,
it's
just
them.
dreading.
So sometimes, depending on the time of day, and I remember Andrea having a number of these clients, and they would call on a Friday afternoon of a long weekend, and it would be like, oh my God, do I answer the call or not? Because you knew it wasn't going to be anything good. It was very hard to deal with. And now, of course, in my business, I have only great clients. We answer the phone willingly, happily, because it's just freeing to know that the clients that we have are clients that appreciate all the things that we do for them. And it could be a drain on yourself physically, mentally, but also in your business.
Definitely.
And you don't realize what it's doing to you because you're so caught up on accepting trying to please. And some people you can never please.
That's right.
And that's just a fact of life. You can't. Is it worth the money? No, I don't think so. But
because
also,
there's more clients out there. There's more business. There's lots out there. You don't have to stress yourself and make your life miserable for one client, because there are many out there. And if you're stress free and you're happy, you'll attract more clients.
Absolutely. But you were also in this conversation telling me, about sometimes trying to be a people pleaser, saying yes, taking on more than you can even handle.
Well, that's what we tend to do. Like, we tend to always want to do everything ourselves. And we find that a lot of us, it's hard to ask for help. We always feel that, oh, I'll just get it done myself. I'll just do it myself. I'll figure it out.
Or you don't want to impose.
You don't want to impose, or you think you're imposing. But a lot of times something might be frustrating you, and you can't figure out, how to get something done, or you're trying to do it yourself. Well, number one, there's people in your circle that are more than willing to help, or they have an answer very quickly, and it's done. It's off your shoulders. Because sometimes it's like, say, even reaching for something on a top shelf. Instead of calling over somebody who's taller or younger, we might do it ourselves, and then fall down, break a hip. Then what happens, right? We get stubborn in our ways. And so that's not a good thing, to always want to do it ourselves or take on more than we can chew. And it goes the same with cooking, cleaning. For me anyways, in my line, I'm terrible for that. My husband always says, get one of your daughters to help. I'll just do it myself. Not good.
Not good. But one of the things that Andrea just said brings me to some of the things that she's been sharing with her friends. Instead of tackling a whole big project by herself, she's been able to share these, I'll say, projects with friends. Tell them about lately what you've been up to, Andrea.
Well, I have especially one girlfriend who's always looking for things to do, and she loves to cook like I do, and she's retired now. So we decided to take on number one, Polish shish kebab. That was a job and a half, but we did it, and we were really happy we did. Linda's tasted some. And then also pickles. So sliced sandwich pickles. And she has her own recipe, and we took 2 days to do that. So now I have a beautiful homemade food.
For, I'm going to say over the winter,
because I had ended up with 86 sticks, 86 shish kebab, and 14 large containers of pickles. And also I had done maybe a couple months before that with a friend, some homemade pierogies. So a lot of fun, and I definitely I would never even try to tackle that on my own. But my girlfriend says, what do you think? And I said, okay, so we had a fun couple of days.
Yeah, it wasn't like it was work because you did that together. So you get to chat, and I find, because I'm a people person, I love having people around, and I can almost not do anything, so I don't accomplish a lot. But if I have somebody there that would be, and they don't even have to do anything for me.
Right.
If they're just there to entertain me in the sense of we can have a conversation, I can do lots of stuff. I love being around people. And then if I'm productive as well, even better.
Even better. Yes.
Yeah. So it's one of the reasons, even in my other profession, I have doing this with you it's been so much fun. It's never worked, that's for sure.
Right.
And in my other life, I also have a business partner. It just makes it fun to work. So you call it work because you get paid. Well, not at this, but I get paid at the other job. But the point is, I would do it even if I didn't get paid because it's just fun. When you're doing stuff with other people,
right?
It's fun.
If you have a job like that, that's something else. That's really winning. My one daughter, who just as a young girl danced all her life, well, ended up being a dance teacher. And she always said she doesn't work for a living. She gets up and goes, okay, once in a while you get like, oh God, I gotta go in. But it's her passion. She enjoys what she does. That's so important,
It is.
Yeah.
When I worked for the federal government, I left in 1990, and it was like, that was a job.
Right.
But ever since then, I feel like I've been retired, and that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I just do things that I really enjoy. And
well, that's what we have to do, and why we say don't take on more than you can chew, because a lot of people will call and ask you to help on committees, like at your church, or say when we were curling, to get on the committee.
Yes.
If that's something that's going to overwhelm you, just say, I'm sorry, it's just not something I'm prepared to do. I mean, I did it for a couple of years when we were curling.
Yeah.
And then it got to a point where I said, okay, that's enough, because it wasn't fun anymore.
Yeah.
And the same with the church, they asked to go. I went on one committee, but when I was there, the bickering and the power tripping, I said, no, that's not for me. So instead of overwhelming myself and persevering and going every week, I just said, you know what, guys, this isn't for me. Maybe I can find something else to do, which I did, collecting the money. That's easy. Nobody says nothing, and it's a happy, you seeing money go in the basket. But I just said, no, I knew that if I stayed, it would just overwhelm. And what happens is you take that stuff home. And that's what I say about working. Like people that go out to work, if you're not happy, you get overwhelmed, you bring it home, and you take it out on the wrong people.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about that also recently. So if someone's having a bad day, they bring it out and they bring it home to you. Well, Andrea had a situation with a family member, and all of a sudden it was like,
we first out of the blue,
yeah,
we were the bad people, and in my heart I knew that this wasn't right and
yeah.
something else was going on. And so this misplaced anger. And she just got overwhelmed. So, you know, I called and talked for a bit. And first I let her cool off for a bit. Then I phoned and we called and then invited her for, was my daughter's birthday. So I invited her for coffee and then everything worked out fine. But that's what happens. You know, you get overwhelmed. And then first thing that kind of ticks you off, you explode. Or
yeah, to the wrong people.
To the wrong people. It happens over and over again.
It does.
You know. So, you know, try to make your life more simple. Say no when you know you don't have the time or it's something you really don't enjoy.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Because even my business partner in my real life, now, because he does like a lot for his daughter. And, you know, taking her to sports and whatever. But sometimes he's got to work and it's not convenient for him to do that. So now he's at a point where he asks another parent because, you know, one of the other girls, they're going to be going anyway. And so now what they've done in a lot of cases, they started, carpooling.
Yes.
And so he takes a couple of the girls sometimes and his daughter will go. And it's made everybody's life much easier than all feeling stressed that, you know, you got to get home from work. You got to do this. You got to do that. Then you got to come home and prepare dinner and do all this other stuff. And it's like, it's too much. And then you get,
especially if you can do it. Like there are situations where there are, like, I mean, I had that when my girls were dancing. You know, they were all different times, different places, doing different things. And I was fortunate enough to, Eddie's mom at the time was healthy and driving, so she would help where she could. But it could get very overwhelming. And I was so thankful when my oldest daughter finally got her license and her vehicle because it took some pressure off. But that's what you have to do. Find ways to make life a little simpler so that you're not always on your edge. And then, you know, the kids come in, maybe somebody spills something that would normally not bother you, then you explode.
And not only that, and we talked about this, because of all that thing that's going on with you and you're feeling overwhelmed all the time, who pays part of that price? Not just your family, in particular, your spouse.
Right.
So you get this partner that's, you know, there for you, but you've almost taken out your anger on them and they haven't done anything.
Yeah, and that's
for a lot
usually the case.
It is, and a lot of guys don't understand, like, what did I do? Like, you know what I mean? They don't know.
Right.
And you're afraid to even say anything because you're just so angry. You want to be angry at the world.
Right.
And then you take it out on a spouse.
Right. I mean, it happens. And the other way too, like where years ago, my husband would come home and just be like, oh, bear, like, you know, who's got the lights on? I don't know. And finally I just said, hey, we are not your trades. We're not the ones frustrating you. Turn it off when you walk in.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, you know, you have to speak up, like, other than just sitting there letting them rant, you know, because I didn't cause your anger. So why am I getting the brunt of it? Right. And he was just overwhelmed from maybe things that happened during the day at work or whatever. And they always say, how do they say something about you hurt the ones you love the most or something like that? I don't know what the saying is, but I guess you feel more comfortable.
Yes.
Because you know they're not going to.
But they could.
They could, because
they could turn on you.
They could fight and then they walk out the door and say, I've had enough of this, and just leave.
So there was something I just saw or read or heard on YouTube. And there were these, and maybe I even heard on the radio, I'm not sure, but it was just recently. And there were these two guys, and this one guy, I think he was the boss, and there was always things going on at work that caused him a lot of stress. Anyway, one day he's taking one of his co-workers home, and the guy was like in a bad mood because of all the things going on. He had this plant or tree or something outside his door, and he rubbed that tree before he went in. Then when he got in, the co-worker saw a completely different guy. And he said to the guy after, because he had to drive him, his boss had to drive him home after, he said, what was that thing about rubbing, you know, the tree? He said, that's the tree of problems or something. He rubs all of that and let that deal with in the tree. and he goes in and he's washed himself clean of whatever's
Wow.
going on so that he doesn't take it out on the family.
I wonder if that works.
But you know what? In one way it does. I have to tell you, Andrea, from the point when you told your husband, leave it at the door.
Oh, yeah, leave it at the door.
Because when you go in, that's a whole new environment.
Right.
And they don't know what's been going on with your day.
That's right.
So for them to be getting yelled at, or, you know what I mean, that you're feeling stressed and everything else, you're taking that on them, and they haven't even got a clue even to how to help you calm down from that, because they
Right.
don't know. So so when it's something that's outside, which is your other life, leave it behind.
Leave it there.
When you come back the next day, it always looks clearer in the
Yes.
morning. And so you feel better and you know how to handle it because you're refreshed. But you
I mean,
haven't taken it.
it's different too if you're the type of person that can talk about it. Because a lot of times, like before that, I'd say, well, what's wrong? Nothing. Just work. Well, if it's just work, then why is it hurting me, you know? But if you can talk about it, just say, oh, this guy did this and I'm so upset. I say, oh, that's too bad. Sometimes that calms you down. Like, it's not always only your problem, but if you can share it in a good way, and you might like the feedback you get from your spouse, like, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you have a better day tomorrow, or here's a nice home baked cookie make you feel better.
You know,
you never know what could help, right?
That's
so
true.
If you're the type of person that can share and talk about it, and we learned that over the years too. There's a lot of times that I know something bothering me. You don't want them to carry that all by themselves either. So you should be able to listen without talking too much, and hear the problem, because sometimes that's all you need is just to talk about it and get it out. You don't need an answer or a fix. You just need to be able to tell somebody about it. So, and you shouldn't feel you should feel free if you have the same issue. Something to talk about, like, because I remember many times saying, oh, and you say, well, what do you want me to do? I don't want you to do anything about it. I just want you to listen. Just know how I'm feeling. Oh, okay. Because they think you think they want you to fix it, or you think they're gonna fix it, but it's not
sometimes
always the
just
way.
Expressing yourself,
just getting it off your shoulders.
Yes, it makes you feel just better, just letting it out. But I love the fact that you leave it at the door, because in the morning things always look different.
Oh yes. And really, what can't be fixed?
Yes.
If you think about
Everything
it, you
can
sit
be
down
fixed.
and you work it out. The only thing that can't be changed is death. Unfortunately. But other than that, things can be fixed, or at least try. You can try to fix things. There's a hope. There's a chance. But
it's just, you need that clear mind to figure it out.
Yes. And
Because
if you keep it all here, bottled up.
Well, especially because you're stressed and you're overwhelmed and you're not thinking clearly anymore.
No, exactly.
So all of a sudden now everything looks like it's so insurmountable that you cannot ever figure out that it'll ever get, fixed. And then when you calm down and you've relaxed, and whether you talk to your partner or not, but all of a sudden, and then I find, especially for me, by the early morning, the next morning, things, all of a sudden I have this clear vision of what I need to do. And it's like, wow.
Like we said last time, just slow down.
Yes.
Slow down. And all these episodes kind of fall into the same category. It's all about taking care of yourself, slowing down. Don't take on too much. Advocate for yourself.
Letting things go.
It's all part and parcel of having a well-being.
And in all of that, if you think about it, the communication, because sometimes people want to keep things to themselves. And that's no different than when this aunt was upset, not with you guys, but took it out on you because she wasn't communicating. And you let her have her space so that you can communicate after. But it's the same, marriages break up because they haven't talked.
That's right.
And it's like, if you don't talk, you really don't know how to fix it, because everything is fixable.
It is fixable. And they could be angry at something totally different, but
Yes.
you're taking it personally, and you really shouldn't.
Yep.
Yeah. So ask for help. You know, you might be surprised.
You can say no once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
We learn that when we're, uh, I'm not a parent, but you are, but I've been a child, so I've heard the word no a lot, and that's the problem. No,
Right.
no, no, can't do this. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
Well, then when you grow up, for some reason, all of a sudden, you just want to be able to say yes, 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 and so you take on too much.
Yes.
Happy balance.
Happy
That's
balance.
what you need.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
Balance.
Anyway, we hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Success in Women. Don't forget to
Like,
share.
and please subscribe.
Until next time.
Have a good week, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.